Hi everyone, I'm Pat Cosentino, the Superintendent of Region 12, and we are here with a spectacular show. We have Ms. Youngblood, who is from our Humanities Department at Shepaug, with 4 students who have been involved in the TED program. For those of you who don't know about TED, TED.com is really a place where you can go and see 15-minute snippets on creativity, educational topics, some of the most brightest and best and upcoming superstars in the entertainment field, the medicine field, the education field, etc., etc., etc. And they started a TED youth program. And these students have all attended and are participating with Ms. Youngblood, and it's really something that's a wonderful opportunity for our kids. So I'm happy to be here today to share the experience. So we'll start though at the end of the table so people can introduce themselves.
My name is Thomas Andrews.
I'm Emily Chen.
I'm Mike Kornowitz.
I'm Dana Walker.
And I'm Wendy Youngblood.
There we go. So Wendy, why don't you take it away and start talking about the program.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is really 2 programs that I participated in with the students over the past 2 weeks. On December 1st, 9 students and I went to, November 16th, 17th,
Right.
9 students and I went down to the New York Times newspaper Times Center to attend a TEDx youth program. This was their 2nd one, and there were probably 24 speakers, would you say? Speaking on a wide range of topics. Now, we had to apply to get in. The cutoff was 5 students officially, but through cajoling, begging, pleading, we gained 9 tickets for students. So that was really, really amazing. And that conference focused a lot on innovation, technology, robotics, really cutting edge science application, but also things like etiquette and body language and ideas. So, and that's a real TED strength. So these were short talks geared to kids.
Do the kids hear all of the talks? Or do they go to different ones?
Students heard all of them, except we had 6 students who had to leave early because they were all in our play that evening.
Okay.
But this past Saturday, on December 1st, I was able to get tickets for 5 students to a 100-seat event at Barnard College in New York City, and this was for TED Women. So a variety of talks were held in venues around the world, all on the same day, about women and leadership. That was the initiative at Barnard. So among those 5 were Emily and Dana.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was really great.
It's such a great opportunity, right? And I understand the cajoling to get more seats. You want to get as many students as possible to participate.
You have to be a forceful advocate.
There you go. So why don't you, our panel, talk about some of your experiences.
Can we start with the guys in the TED youth event?
Tell you want to start?
Okay, well, there were around 20 talks, but the talk I found most interesting was definitely with Jared Thorpe, who is a data artist at the New York Times. And he basically used Twitter and he created an algorithm to look at when people wake up in the morning, and just all around the globe just looked at that. But that got me thinking, like, if you can use data to, say businesses can use social networking to project their
like consumer patterns?
Yeah, to project their revenue and then save costs that way and just increase their profits overall.
And that's something we try to do on a small scale in class, but he showed us how professionals innovate and use this and how it's really revolutionizing how we understand information.
That's wonderful. I have to tell you, just an aside, as far as reporters go, whether it's the Daily News or the News Times or the New York Times, even sports reporters, it's so interesting how over probably maybe the last 20 years, you now know who the reporters are and their faces. You know, you see them on ESPN Sports Reporters, you see them on Sunday morning news shows, they blog, they have little shows, they tweet, where in the past, it used to just be in the newspaper and you saw the little picture.
Right. Well,
so it's just a different world that way.
But even more than this, because this guy is a face and a byline that you would never see. He's really part of the machinery of the Times that makes him a global innovator in how news is told. but he was sharing his techniques of how he makes the news come alive in an interactive format. And really, for, we say we're training kids for the jobs that don't yet exist. This was like pulling back the curtain, didn't you feel?
Yeah.
So you get inspired by what these people are doing now. It helps like enlarge your view of how information can be understood.
Yeah, well, I mean, my guess with Jared Thorpe is that he runs the advertising, like when they should, like where they should direct their adverts for the New York Times.
Interesting. Very interesting.
How about you, Mike? What stood out to you?
About his talk or about another talk?
Any of them.
Well, the Jared Thorpe talk was really interesting for me because part of my senior project is data analysis. I'm doing a project that is centered on physical fitness. And although I have, number data like blood work and things like that and progression in blood work, I also thought that, using social media to gauge an interest in physical fitness and staying healthy and nutritional things is also something beneficial. So I'm actually in the process of researching a possibility of being able to use his data program, which is called Cascade.
Right.
So that I thought was really interesting. But another talk that I found to be really interesting.
Can you hold that up so that it gets
sure.
on camera?
It's the brochure that we had that day was given by a grandmaster of chess. Where is he? Maurice Ashley. And at first I was kind of, confused, like what is a grandmaster of chess going to talk about besides chess? And his talk was all about the benefits of working backwards. And that's how he says he plays chess and things like that, and that's how he lives his life. And I think that's like a lesson and a value that we can all kind of live by, because you see things before they happen, and it's just as students at school, and as we're going off to college and as we're going off into the working world, that if we kind of use that mantra as a just keep it in the back of our heads, it could benefit us in ways we probably can't see
right now. I saw him interacting with little girls who were probably 9 or 10 years old. And that's one of the things that makes the TED experience so special, is that not only were they seeing these talks, but our kids interacted with the speakers and with the organizers. So from everything to from content, like tell me more about your topic, tell me more about robotics, like with, what was that guy's name who had the
Tom Chi.
Oh yeah, he was amazing. But also the organizers, like at TED Barnard, you guys talked to not only the speakers but also to the organizers. And we have some great photographs of that to share with you guys if you want to do anything with them. Can you guys talk a little bit about what that was like to interact with the speakers at TED Barnard?
Well, during some of the breaks, we were able to ask them questions or talk to them personally about their own experiences. I remember talking with one of the speakers, Melissa Maxwell, and her talk was about fear, and it tied into how it held her back from some of her ambitions in life. And she was just talking to us about some of her own daily experiences and how that affected her. And we were able to ask her questions, what can we do in high school to be leaders, or to not be afraid to do something different, or be out of the ordinary while being a leader. So it was really cool to get one-on-one interaction with her, since it was such a small venue.
What was her advice? Like, what can you do in high school? Anything that stuck in your mind?
She was really just like, go for whatever it is you want. You should definitely go for it. And if you don't try, you don't know.
Exactly.
So
the Athena Center at Barnard is a center for leadership studies. So they have this thing, it's sort of like what we do here at school. They have the core 10 competencies. Ambition, advocacy, communication, courage are among those. So each of the 10 talks was sort of thematically located within one of those spheres. And so Melissa, who's a filmmaker and an actress, she spoke about courage. But we talked on the way home from New York about how overcoming fear and facing fear was a central tenet to the day, really. Whose talk would you say you liked the most?
I was really affected by Isis Arabay.
Oh, she was awesome.
Yeah, she discussed vision, one of the core 10. and she was talking a lot about karma. She compared karma to the laws of harvest, and it can easily be compared to farming. And there are 4 laws of harvest. You must plant to harvest. You can only get out what you put in. You harvest later than you plant, and you harvest in greater proportion. And I really found it amazing to compare it to my everyday life, because as she was expressing her thoughts about karma, I really thought, oh, I can compare this law to this person in this situation. I feel this way when this happens. So it was really a great experience to be able to connect personally with these core 10.
Yeah, it was really cool. The TED women had, those were a series of narratives. So it was really different from the TED youth, where it was like data. I mean, my brain was melted at the end of that day. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Does anybody want to comment about the rest of the New York experience? Because we had these fantastic conference experiences, but then when we were down there, we said, well, let's stay a bit. You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I'll talk about it. I mean, after we got out from the last talk and we were let out of the theater at like, I think a little bit before 6 maybe, and Miss Youngblood said, well, do you want to go get some dinner? And so we went out, and you just, you know, the day of just like constant like intellectual like
overload.
Right. And then we just went out into the city and we got dinner at a Japanese restaurant. We got ramen, and so it kind of just topped off the day. Like, you know, it was a pretty stressful day, I would say, because you're just trying to understand all these things that these people are saying, and they're at an intellectual level that is so up there that it's hard to, you know, grasp everything they're saying. So, you know, like Ms. Youngblood said, at the end of the day, your brain is just mush. The last talk, Tom, we were talking about, we had such a hard time understanding because it was such a complex topic. It was about tissue growth, tissue engineering,
right?
Okay.
And we had just not, we were checked out. And so it was good. It was an awesome end to an awesome day by being able to just go out into the city of all places and, you know, walk through Times Square to go and get dinner. So it was really fun.
How about you guys?
Well, after our talk, Barnard is right across from Columbia, so we walked through there, and it was good because we're all juniors, so we got got to walk on the college campus, and after that we were able to go over to St. John's Church, and it was absolutely breathtaking.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely.
So that was a fun experience. Then we walked through New York a little bit, and we eventually ended the night at dinner at, I forget the name of the restaurant.
Scarlato's on 47th or something like that.
It's very fun. And the whole day was just really fun because you got to learn more about people, I think. And it's not only we had like a lot of stories to listen to during the conference, but we were able to talk about it with each other and share a lot of connections.
Absolutely.
And these are your old stomping grounds.
Well, I tell you, you know, when you talk about New York and you talked about the intellectual stimulation of your conference, just, I believe, the stimulation of New York City, the one thing that I love, I probably go once a month, okay, on an average, maybe a little more in the summer, and I meet friends and I see shows and whatever I'm going to do. But as soon as I get out of my car, drive down, and I drive down the West Side Highway, so you see the Hudson River on the right, and then you see Jersey, you know, you go under the George Washington Bridge, and then slowly you get in the city, and on the left you see all of the billboards, there's Wicked, and there's stores, and all that stuff, and you know, and then as soon as I get out of the car, I'm like energized. The second I park, I'm energized, because I just feel like that energy just like comes into my body. I absolutely love it. And there's so much, I love to people watch, and I love to, you know, go and look at the stores and all of that stuff. It's just a wonderful experience. And I think anything we can do to, you know, get kids out of the little Region 12 area is so important, because number one, what you said is so important. Just getting on a college campus is really huge for kids. Just to see how it feels, and you know, and taking it in and looking at other kids and saying, oh, you know what, I could do that. I could fit in there. You know, this feels good to me. Or maybe it doesn't. but having that experience is really important. And then to be down there for a conference with all of these intellectuals, that's really amazing.
Just to piggyback on that theme for a second, one of the things that I like for you guys is that experiences like this help you understand, it causes a perspective shift a little bit, where you realize that the agents of change are not some external them, that it's a self-select, it's we, you know, and that you belong in there as much as anybody. You just have to see it in yourself, and I think that weekends like this propel you in that direction. Wouldn't you say so, Thomas?
Yeah.
And it's almost like what we learned through our conferences, you can't almost do in a classroom setting. It's very difficult to, like, I don't know how that would happen. So it was really...
It was concentrated and purposeful. We try to do that in the long term in classes, but this was like really direct, you know? Did you get that?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, these talks are an inspiration. They show you what humans are capable of, like creating human tissue. So the organ donor list will probably completely just won't be as full. It's amazing if that could happen.
And it in some ways, what the talks we heard, they connect to what we're learning in school.
Right.
So you're able to make those connections and then see the future, like, oh, I can use this for that. And, you know, it's, like Tom said, inspiring. And
I think, you know, like Emily said, you know, you can connect to things that you're learning in school, but also it opens doors to topics that you don't, you wouldn't, like, you don't learn about in school, that it's just not a topic that's discussed in like a school setting, and it opens that door to you. You might have a limited view of where you want to go in life, but this talk or this person could, you know, enlighten you as to a whole other career direction or interest direction at that you know you never thought about before. And it's just, the biggest thing is, like, when they have a wide range of topics, you know, you might not watch these things if you weren't there. You might not read an article or watch a video on, like,
haptics.
like haptics, or, you know, how ocean animals are hunted and they hunt. You know, that might not be intriguing to someone, you know, right away. But when you're in a room like this, in a conference setting like this, you know, you're kind of forced to watch it in a way, and it might, you know, ring a bell in your head and just really interest you.
Yeah, I mean, to be exposed to all these different ideas is really good, especially when you're in high school, because you don't want to take the wrong direction in life by maybe majoring in the wrong thing and be stuck with something you're not interested in for the rest of your life.
Right. And that's really my vision of being a high school principal and a superintendent, is offering students exposure, opportunities, options. And that's what a program like TED.com, TED Youth, these conferences, you know, exposes kids and staff to different opportunities out there, that maybe this is something you are interested in. And that's really, really important. And I think you guys did a great job. I'm very impressed. I'm a little jealous that I wasn't able to go. Next time, maybe. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm aware of a couple events that Barnard is having in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. But, you know, these guys have to give up a Saturday to do that. So it's like not every student really wants to do that.
I was actually talking to Allie and Becca today, and they were kind of jealous. They're like, how do we go? Like, can we go next time? I'm like, you should talk to Miss Youngblood, and I'm sure there will be opportunity for you to go along. So people are excited.
I need a minivan.
The other thing that I'm thinking is, you know, we should do some kind of TEDx program here.
We've been talking about it.
You know, really, and getting, you know, some speakers, and it can be, you know, internal speakers, teachers that, you know, have certain expertise, or parents or community members. There's such a wide variety of people, and when you are a speaker, you are really forced to a time limit to really make your point, whatever it's going to be. So it really, most of them are anywhere between 8 and 15 minutes. Am I right?
It varies, yeah.
It varies, but you're really not going for a lecture for an hour and a half. It really is something pointed, and you know, I think as long as you get something out of it, I think that's always important. And like when I hear things that don't compute in my brain, like you talked about with the tissue, I kind of then focus in on the presentation piece of it and how is the person making their points and that kind of stuff. So there's always something you can learn.
Right.
So that's really great. So did you want to talk about your stuff in the back there, or just mention it?
Well, hold on, Emily.
Oh,
did you
go
want to
ahead,
add a
Emily.
point?
Sorry.
We were just talking on the way down about maybe a possible senior project, how that would be a really
Oh, it
cool
would be
project
great.
to take on doing that for
Absolutely.
the community.
Yeah.
Plus, you guys are in sociology, and we've been using TED as a model for how students present their research. And so we started with like 3 to 5, was that the first one? Minute, sort of mini TED. And then the most recent one was 5 to 9 minutes. And then your final project is going to be probably 12 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Doing what you're talking about.
Sure.
And so these guys will be in a good position to facilitate a
Yeah.
TED. So Mike, would you talk about the TED swag? Maybe you bring
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
You can
this
take it and
I'll
put it
take
here. It's fine.
This is one of the gifts we were given at the end of the conference. This is a pack of bananagrams, which is a word game, kind of like Scrabble, but there's no board. It's very fun. I have like 3 sleeves at home that I play with. And this is a book that was given to us by one of the speakers,
Rick Smolin.
And he's a photographer, and he also talked about data. And he's interpreting the world and interpreting data through photos and like our everyday lives.
Sure.
And so this is a book about it. It's called America 24/7, and it's just pictures from different people's lives at every point of the day, and the different paths that people take, and it just analyzes America on a deeper level.
Wow.
So
Oh, and Dana, you had some swag from Barnard,
There you go.
a salmon lunch, which was very nice. Barnard's on a slightly different budget than TED Youth.
Okay.
Slightly reduced budget, but
That's
we
okay.
got bags and what else?
We got a Luna bar and
Luna
a water
bars?
bottle.
Okay. Very nice.
And great contacts. Actually, you met somebody at TED.com who said send me your resume. So,
Oh, yes.
And those are that kind of connection is
Yeah.
non-quantifiable, you know?
Sure.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
yes.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent. Is there anybody want to add anything else before we wrap it up?
About how much you want to go back next year?
Yeah.
Definitely, I would if I had the opportunity to.
Absolutely. And for people out there who are watching, if you go to TED.com, you really can get a flavor for all of the different, I don't know how many there are there.
Thousands.
Thousands and
Yeah.
thousands. And always putting up new...
There's one new every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting to get your mind thinking about, what's going on in the world outside of my little, four walls or whatever you consider your little life, because there is a world out there that is unbelievably creative and inspiring and motivating. And it's also good for kids who maybe don't know what they want to do with their life.
Right.
To get on there and start to explore a little bit.
There's a new component. I talked to one of the animators working for TED Ed. They're looking for teachers like me and like my colleagues to send in lesson ideas that they will then take and animate for short lessons to enhance teachers' movement towards a flipped classroom model. So I'm trying to figure out what I can send to maybe help contribute to TED Ed. So
you
we'll
would be
looking
great.
into that.
You'd be great. You're very animated and engaging. You'd be a good presenter.
Thanks.
So, well, this is great. This is what we're talking about in our high school and in our district. We're trying to get students to have as many opportunities as possible so that they are really prepared when they leave Shepaug and the region to go out into the big world. More shows are going to come. We are just thrilled to be on the air. I want to thank our camera person, Karen Files, back there. I want to thank our panel today, Ms. Youngblood. And keep on watching. We're really going to be doing some great shows within the new year. Thank you.